Welcome to another edition of Panther Sports Talk right here on WIU. I'm your host, Rich Moser. This edition of the Panther Sports Talk, we'll talk to EIU football coach Dino Babers about the big win at Southern Illinois. Also, we'll talk to EIU wide receiver Adam Drake about his big day down there in Carbondale. All that and much more right here on Panther Sports Talk.
Production for Panther Sports Talk is brought to you in part by Johnson's Automotive Service is a proud supporter of Panther Sports on WEIU. Johnson's has alignment checks along with oil changes. Located at 800 Madison in Charleston. Johnson's Automotive Service, keeping your life running.
Welcome back to Panther Sports Talk. Joined now by EIU football coach Dino Babers. And Coach, again, getting a little bit of rest now. You guys went toe-to-toe there with Southern Illinois. Opportunity there to win it at the end of regulation, but you guys really came back after Southern Illinois looked like they might take the momentum with the block kick at the end of regulation, and you guys really bared down, and Cameron Barra came back to actually win the game for you there in the second overtime.
Well, we have complete confidence in Cameron, and there was no doubt that we were going to put him out there at the end of the game, and it was unfortunate that kick got blocked. That was not his fault. And then in the second overtime, I knew he was going to hit it. I mean, everybody was down on the knee, but it was more to give thanks. But we knew he was going to hit it.
Now, you talk about that, and I know we haven't talked a lot about special teams. The things that we've talked about the first 2 weeks have been offense and defense. The young man who probably has the most pressure on him out there right now is A.J. Hantak. He's the long snapper, and I don't think – I've kind of seen on some of the blogs people are asking about special teams, and I don't think they realize what a relationship there is between the long snapper, the holder, and the kicker. And it's going to take a little bit of time for those guys to find that symmetry that they had with Adam Baker, who was snapping for 4 years.
Well, yes, and the thing we got to remember, AJ is a freshman. I mean, this was only his second game that he was snapping. Southern was doing some things that that I would question how legal they were, and they were putting. Normally, a snapper can snap the ball and not be. He should be protected, and he's not brought into the physical part of the game. Southern was doing some things that was bringing him into the physical part of the game. He was a little upset about some things, and I had to talk him through some of this stuff. But as he grows and as he comes along, he's going to be an exceptional snapper. We have complete confidence in him. When it's all said and done, he should be like the way Baker was, somebody that we can depend on, somebody that's consistently good, not occasionally great.
Now, and I said that because I think I don't want him to get down on him because he's a freshman, because if you put him out there as a freshman, it means you guys as a coaching staff have supreme confidence in what he's going to do, and then what Scott's going to do as the holder and what Cam's going to do as the kicker. Taking the special teams part out of it, talk a little bit, I guess, about the way the defense was able to respond there in the overtime and really kind of went toe-to-toe with Southern when they thought they were going to have a little bit of momentum. One
of the coolest moments in the entire game was after the first overtime, our defense was out there. Okay, then we go to the second overtime. Well, now you have to flip sides, flip the coin, so to speak, and our defense had to go back out there a second time. That's you're tired, you're exhausted, now you've got to go back take the field again and do it again. And I thought that effort to hold them to a field goal try that they eventually ended up missing was probably one of the proudest moments as a head coach about our defense. I thought they did a fabulous job.
Now, on the offensive side of the ball, you guys came out, you kind of seemed to be hitting on all cylinders, like things had essentially carried over from San Diego State, and those guys were really in rhythm. Jimmy was finding guys, Eric Laura, Keandre Gober, and Adam Drake ended up having a big game for you guys as well.
Well, no doubt. I thought the offense was really clicking early. I thought the halftime adjustments by SIU were exceptional and slowed us down some. But I still felt, I never got the feeling that we couldn't move the ball. That last drive with the 2-minute drive, we were just making sure we didn't get down there too fast. We were really just taking our time and letting some time run off the clock. We felt like we could get down there, and we did. I was a little disappointed that we didn't score a touchdown and take the pressure completely off of Cam. I don't like to get in that situation and just take a knee 3 times and say we're going to kick it and the field goal kicker is going to win it. I like to try to win it with the offense, win it with the defense. We couldn't get it in 3 plays. Put Cameron out there, and like we said, the kick got blocked, but he came back and he was the hero of the game in overtime.
Now, you talk about the course of how a game goes. Rewind a little bit into the second quarter. For people that didn't see the game, you guys tried to put the hammer down and end the game essentially in the second quarter. And why I say that is you guys had gone down and scored. You had the offense. The momentum was going your way. You had the onside kick. You recovered it. Unfortunately, there was a penalty there on us. One of the guys jumped a little too early. I think you probably felt as a coach that we'd have them on their heels. If you would have kept that ball and scored, the quarter's probably over. You get the ball to start the second half. There's a chance you guys could be up 3-4 touchdowns, and they might have essentially quit.
We're always going to play aggressive. I really thought that was exactly the scenario. We wanted to be aggressive down there. We knew we were in a hostile environment. I believe we were up by 14 when we went for the onside kick. We wanted to get a 21-point lead on them. We felt that if we get a 21-point lead on them and plus get the ball at halftime, like you said, that we could change the face of that game and not make it an overtime game, not make it a fourth quarter game, try to get out of that game early. Unfortunately, I believe our guy was offsides by a yard and a half, and we watched the tape. He was offsides. It was a good call by the referees, but it was something that as a team we had already made a point to do, that we were going to be aggressive in that situation. That's a hard place to win. We haven't done it in a long time. Those guys, their home record is unbelievable, and especially with home openers. And we just wanted to make sure if we lost the game, we lost the game playing it as aggressively as we could.
Now, the other part of the game that for you guys maybe gets a little overshadowed is, I know you've always explained to people that in Baylor, while Robert Griffin got a lot of the hype because he threw and could run, the offense kind of went based on the fact that they also had a run game with it that sometimes got overshadowed. Last year, I tell people Jake Walker rushed for 1,000 yards, and I still don't think they believe me until we show them the stats. Taylor Duncan right on that pace right now. He rushed for 100 yards there at Southern, and that's how this offense goes. You have to have more balance than people, I think, realize.
Well, I told some of our coaches last year when the season was over, they all thought we were happy, and I was really upset because I think our tailback should rush for 1,500 yards. And if he doesn't rush for 1,500 yards, it's not a season that we should be proud about. And that's exactly what our goal is this year. Our tailback needs to rush for 1,500 yards. And I've relayed that information to the proper players and the proper coaches. And that's just the way it's going to be. What we throw for is what we throw for. But you've got to have a physical part of the game. You've got to have the physicality of this game, and running the football establishes that. You're going to win more games if you have a run game.
Now, the other part that makes the offense go is Jimmy Garoppolo, once again, exceptional day. Really, the only mistake he made, and I don't think it was necessarily on him, he threw an interception. It looked like to me that he read the receiver going one way, the receiver read himself going the other way. And I saw a couple NFL games this weekend that the commentators kind of made the same comment, that the quarterback is reading where he thinks the receiver's going, and the receiver doesn't go that way. That interception's not on the quarterback, and that kind of was the scenario down there.
Well, not exactly.
Oh, okay.
Well, if you remember, the play was actually a bad snap. It was a low snap from Nick, and Nick does a great job. He wouldn't get mad if I'm talking about this. It was a low snap from Nick, so Jimmy had to go down and get the snap, which took his eyes off the defense, and the defense went to something else. The pre-snap was different than what happened after the actual snap of the ball. It went to something else. Again, now what you're absolutely correct. He's not going to wait for a guy to get open. He's going to anticipate where he's going to and throw to an open area. That's what good quarterbacks do. And then he pulled trigger, and he thought it was the defense that he saw, and it wasn't. It had changed to something else, and that led to the interception. So even though you saw the receiver there, you guys are thinking about the quarterback, I really kind of put it a little bit more on Nick, and we need to get a better snap from him. But he's done a great job stepping in, and Nick knows I love him. We just need to do better.
Now, moving forward, you talk a little bit about defense. Defense is the key word in the team you're going to play this week. You guys are going to face Illinois State. Brock's back, a coach that you've known for a long time. You guys were both assistant coaches on Coach Spoo's first staff here. You guys were also, I think, together at Purdue shortly. He is a defensive-minded coach. Even though the last year's score was 54-51, I'm sure he went home afterwards and was trying to figure out how his offense had to score 54 points in order to get that victory. He wants that game probably in the 20s and the teens.
Well, first of all, he won, so I know he went home happy because I didn't. But he's a defensive-oriented guy, and I'm sure he spent a lot of time and breaking us down and trying to find a way to put the big hurt on us in the 102nd meeting of Illinois State and Eastern Illinois University. they've had 16 days to prepare for us. I mean, they played early. We got an early game moved to a Thursday, had a bye week. So they've had more time than any other opponent that we're going to play this year. And I'm really concerned about that because Brock's a heck of a coach, and I know he knows exactly what he's doing. So we're going to have our hands full, and we're going to have to just go out there and see what kind of adjustments new stuff he's given us, and make the right game adjustments and try to get one more point more than them.
Now, the player that they kind of key their defense around is Colton Underwood. He's a defensive end. He had a good game last year. He's a Buck Buchanan Award candidate. But against Ball State, they seem to kind of, I don't want to say slow him down is probably the right term. They're never going to take him out of the game. And they have another end, Ricky Simpson, who came up and ended up having 3 sacks. Does that now make you guys a little bit more aware of how you're going to have to game plan for those guys?
Well, those guys get so many transfers. I can't even keep track of all the guys they get. They get exceptional players. I know they had a couple come in from Ohio State and Iowa. I mean, they get them from all over the place. Arkansas, they do a great job in that department. But I think the biggest thing for us is we know that there's exceptional defensive linemen out there. We may want to run 2-1 more or run away from 1 more, but that's all part of the game plan. That's all part of moving the chess pieces, and when you play the game, we have a lot of respect for what they do. We know that they're extremely talented, and we know we're going to have to play one of our best games if we're going to come out with a win.
Now, on the other side of the ball for them, they have not necessarily a new offense, but they've got a new guy at quarterback. Matt Brown had been there for a number of years and was a solid, steady veteran. You kind of could see game film on him to figure out maybe some tendencies. The guy they have now is a transfer. You talked about they have some of those. You only have maybe 1 game of film against him on Ball State. Are you able from that film to kind of maybe pick up some tendencies from a defensive standpoint, or are you going to kind of have to let the game flow a little bit to figure that out?
Well, he's a Texas young man. When I was at Baylor, I saw him play in high school. When he was at Iowa State, we saw him play when we were at Baylor. So we actually know a little bit more about him than what they think we know about him. But he's an exceptional athlete. He can really spin the football. He can buy time with his feet. I mean, he's going to be a very elusive guy, a guy that's very hard to sack, a guy that can move around, buy time, and create plays on the back end with his feet. So we're going to have our hands full. This guy can really play. Will most likely be the best quarterback we've faced so far this year.
All right, Coach, we're going to wrap it up here. I'll give you a few seconds to make your plea to the community again. We've done this the last couple weeks. You've made the plea when they've been on the road. Now the Panthers are going to be at home for the first time. This is an exciting football team to see. I know there's a buzz around town about the team, but to hear it from me is different than to hear it from the head coach about imploring people to come out and pack O'Brien Field. I know you want them to wear blue like we're wearing today.
Absolutely right. Where's my camera?
Pick one.
Here you go. We've got to get out and support this football team. This is the type of team and the opponent we're trying to play with, Illinois State. We need to have the stands filled with blue, and we need to have noise on 3rd down so their quarterback can't tell their offensive line what to do. We played at a hostile environment at San Diego State. There was over 40,000 people. Our offense was in duress because we couldn't communicate verbally. We had to do everything visually because we couldn't hear. We go down to Carbondale, and it's the exact same situation. 15,000 people making noise, slowing down, hampering our offense with penalties and stuff like that because we can't communicate, only communicate visually, and we can't hear each other. We need to have that exact same hostile environment on 3rd down here in Charleston, Illinois. So we need to get the Charleston community, the Mattoon community, Coles County, Effingham. Let's get Champaign people down here from the U of I. Let's fill up this stadium in blue and let's make some noise on 3rd down.
All right, Coach. Good job there. Hopefully everybody will come out. 6 o'clock start, the 102nd meeting of Illinois State and Eastern Illinois in the Mid-America Classic. Last year's was a thriller, double overtime. Panthers were on the opposite side of where they want to be and hope to be on Saturday. So hopefully everybody will come out. There are still tickets available. We're going to wrap up this segment of the program, and we'll be right back with This Week in EIU Athletics.
Panther fans, here's what's going on in Panther athletics. Panther football now 2-0 on the season, winning 40-37 in double overtime at Southern Illinois. Volleyball now 3-4 on the season. They finished in 2nd place at the Drake Tourney, wins against South Dakota State and the host Drake. Women's soccer is now 0-5 on the season. They fell 3-0 at Ball State. Men's soccer finally got their season underway. They start the season 0-2 after 2 losses at the Dayton Tourney. Cross country got their season underway, hosting the Walt Crawford Open. The men won the meet, and the women finished 2nd overall. Mike Heslaw won the men's event, and Emily Brelsford was the top EIU women's finisher in 4th place. Women's rugby starts the season 0-2. They lost at Lakeside Field to the Wisconsin All-Stars 66-7. Now here's what to watch for this week. On Friday, women's tennis begins a 3-day run at the SIU Edwardsville Fall Tourney. Volleyball is at the University of Missouri-Kansas City Tourney. They'll take on Wake Forest at 11 o'clock, and the host UMKC at 6:30. And this weekend, the celebration of Eastern men's soccer celebrating 50 years here at EIU with a 50-year tourney. Northern Kentucky University will take on Western Michigan University at 2 o'clock, followed by EIU taking on Loyola Chicago at 4:30. Cross country is at the Illinois State Invite starting at 5 o'clock, and women's soccer will take on the Missouri Tigers at 6:30. On Saturday, women's tennis with day 2 at the SIU Edwardsville Fall Tourney. Softball hosts their fall tourney over at Williams Field starting at 10 o'clock. Women's rugby is at Pittsburgh at 10 o'clock. And volleyball wraps up competition at the UMKC tourney taking on Presbyterian at 11 o'clock. And Panther football hosts Illinois State in the 102nd edition of the Mid-America Classic. That game is at 6 o'clock at O'Brien Field. You can watch that game right here on WEIU TV or listen to it on Hitmix 88.9 WEIU. On Sunday, women's tennis wraps up competition at the SIU Edwardsville Fall Tourney. Women's soccer is at Lakeside Field for an 11 o'clock match against Loyola Chicago. And the men's soccer 50-year celebration tournament concludes with Northern Kentucky University taking on Loyola at 1 o'clock at Lakeside Field, followed by EIU taking on Western Michigan at 3:30. And women's golf begins a 3-day run at the Chicago State Fall Invite. For Panther Sports Talk, I'm Ramin Kabasioun.
Welcome back on Panther Sports Talk. We're taking a live segment here. I'm going to make some mistakes as we go along, but I'm joined by Adam Drake, junior wide receiver, who had another big game here in Carbondale. The Panthers pull out a double overtime victory. Adam, I guess the excitement in the locker room afterwards, the team, I saw them, they kind of stormed the field, and it was a different time of storming the field than last week at San Diego State.
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge win for us, just like last weekend. I mean, every game's a big game for us, and we hadn't won here in a while, so it was good to come down here and get a win.
Now, for you personally, this has kind of become a home away from home. We were talking on the way over here, 7 catches, 100 yards a day. The last time you were here, Coach Spoo's last game, you guys didn't play extremely well, but that was kind of a personal best game for you at that point in your career.
Yeah, I mean, every game I'm going to come out and try and do my best, and it happened to match up that both times we come down here I've had decent games, so I'm just lucky, I guess.
And that luck kind of went today, over 100 yards. One of the big plays of the game, I know that people were asking about in the locker room afterwards, you kind of had that falling backwards kind of catch in the fourth quarter that at the time put Eastern up by a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, I ended up getting free of the DB, the corner, and then Jim saw me get open and he threw me a ball kind of inside. So I adjusted to it. It was a perfect ball, and I just kind of shielded the DB off my back and caught it in my chest.
Now, all along, we've kind of talked about another guy is going to kind of have to step up, and people know who Eric Laura is. Last week, Keandre Gober kind of was that guy that stepped up. This week, is that kind of the way the rest of the receiving corps is now approaching this offense, is that, you know, we're going to have some opportunities because people are playing such an emphasis to Eric?
I think we have great receivers. I mean, all of us are doing a good job, and we had a kind of a bad game as a outside group last weekend, and I really think we came back and stepped it up this week, and not just me, but Keandre, Jeff Leapak, we're all excited to be here. We're all ready to go, and I think we can all make big games.
Now, we talked a little bit about that last game you had here 2 years ago, Coach Spoo's last season. You had kind of worked your way into the starting lineup as a redshirt freshman. Last year, you kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit. Coach Babers really only plays about 6 or 7 receivers, and at the start of the year, you were kind of in that mix. At the end of the year, you more were a special teams guy. I guess how fulfilling has this been for you to kind of now earn a starting spot and kind of be a go-to guy?
I mean, that's what I've been working for this whole time. I was hurt like 8 or 9 days. I was out of camp last year, and so that kind of put me behind, and I wasn't performing as well as I should have been last year. And so, I went more to special teams, do what I had to do, and luckily I've had the opportunity to come back and make plays this year, so that's what I'm here to do.
Now, you're a Charleston native, one of the only ones on the team. Panthers are 2-0. They're coming back home. There was a buzz around town last week, Charleston, Mattoon, Coles County, the area, about the win over San Diego State. what kind of buzz do you think there's going to be now that the first 2-0 start for the program when you're playing 2 games on the road?
I think it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see the turnout for our first home game. I can't imagine what it's going to be like. So I'm really just excited to get our home game going and seeing how many people show up. I think it's going to be a huge turnout.
Now, the whole game you mentioned there is the Mid-America Classic against Illinois State, 6 o'clock this Saturday. That game will be on WIU. But you, like everybody, wants the stands to be packed. That rivalry last year, they beat us in double overtime. Kind of is that, now that these first 2 games are behind you guys, is that going to kind of be the message in the locker room that remember what kind of happened to us there last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're definitely going to look back on what happened there, but we're always just going to go in it to get a win, and that's what we're going to do. I mean, we're going to watch the film from last year. We'll watch whatever film we have and try and get a W.
All right, appreciate your time, Adam, and we're going to head back to the studio. This was a live shot out here at Carbondale. The Panthers, a double overtime victory. Canberra knocks home a 36-yard field goal to beat the Salukis, the first time that they've won here in a number of years, the first 2-0 road start in program history. Adam Drake and the rest of his teammates will be in Charleston 6 o'clock against Illinois State next week. We hope to see you out there. Be right back on Panther Sports Talk.
Back to pass, Garoppolo over the middle. There's Laura at the 15, spins away. He's to the 10, he's to the 5. Touchdown, Eastern Illinois. Eric Laura putting on a show.
Eastern Illinois Panther football is on WEIU. It's the home opener for the defending Ohio Valley Conference champions at O'Brien Field. EIU will battle Illinois State in the 102nd meeting between the in-state rivals. It's the Panthers and Redbirds Saturday at 6. WEIU is your home for Panther football.
Thanks for watching another edition of Panther Sports Talk right here on WIU. Remember the big home opener of the Mid-America Classic, the 102nd playing against Illinois State this Saturday, 6 o'clock at O'Brien Stadium. We hope to see everybody out there. If you can't make it, watch the game right here on WIU or listen to it on the Panther Radio Football Network. We'll be back next week right here on Panther Sports Talk.
2 teams that opened the season against FBS opponents last week. Eastern posted a big upset win at San Diego State. From their 44, 2nd and 7, Garoppolo sets up, good protection. He's going to throw the bomb for Laura, and did he get it at the 20? He did. Eric Laura with the defender all over him. At the 7-yard line, back to pass. Garoppolo guns it to the right. Touchdown, Eric Laura. Just across the goal line, made the catch, took the hit, and held on. Garoppolo passing down, sets up, has to roll out to his right. Now he's going to fire it deep into the right corner. Gobert got it out of bounds at the 1-yard line. Garoppolo rolled right and found Gobert. Garoppolo under center, 2-step drop, throwing the fade for Drake in the end zone. Got it, touchdown. Touchdown, Adam Drake. The official hesitated for a moment to make sure he was inbound. The only running back is Malcolm. They hand it to him, heading to the left, being chased outside by Antonio Taylor, who turned him inside, and then Haynes cleaned it up for a 2-yard loss. With a fake handoff, back to pass, pressure up the middle, hit as he throws, incomplete, and Dino Fonte got a piece of his arm. Pressure, he's in trouble, and he's going to be pulled down. Not sure if they'll call it a sack. It is a 2-yard loss, though, as Antonio Taylor got in on him and made him give up on the pass. They run out of the pistol. They fake a handoff. Garoppolo pass caught by Drake at the 20, 25. Break loose 30. Drake at the 40, at the 50. Tripped up from behind. Garoppolo low snap. Fakes the short one. Fires middle. Hits Leapak. Broke a tackle 15. He's to the 12. Duncan goes in motion. Garoppolo 2-step drop. Quick pass caught by Ryan Meyer. Touchdown Eastern Illinois. Ryan Meyer, a former safety out of Evergreen Park, just ran right up the field from his left tight end position. There's a handoff over the right side. Agnew hit behind the line by Haynes and taken down for a loss back on the 41. No snap, placed down, kick is up, and the kick is good. Barra connects, and Eastern takes the lead with 14:47 to go. He's going to pass on first down, throws over the middle, knocked away. Good coverage by Houlihan. Here's Garoppolo, low snap. Hands to Duncan, end around to Laura, coming around the left end, blockers in front, cuts inside 35, 40, 45, outside 50, Laura down the sideline 40, and pulled out of bounds at the 35 of SIU. Garoppolo setting up to pass, great protection, steps up, now is going to throw it deep in the end zone. Drake got it! Touchdown Eastern Illinois! Adam Drake in a crowd made the catch, and the Panthers extend their lead. 10 to the 12. Handoff again, Duncan angling left hand, cuts back at the 5, down to the 3 goes Duncan, double tight end. Garoppolo under center on first down. He had a little trouble with a handoff, gives it to Duncan, pushing forward and goes over. Touchdown, Eastern Illinois. 3rd and 5 at the 20. Snaps to Faulkner. Panthers blitz him. They pick it up. He's going to launch it into the end zone right side. Incomplete. Intended for Bland. Couldn't tell if Bland got a fingertip on it or not, but it was overthrown. Canberra, 36-yard field goal try to win the game in the second overtime for Eastern. Here we go. Good snap. Placed down. Kicks up. Kick is good. Panthers win.
Yes! Yes!
We are loyal, EIU, we're loyal and true. Though the odds be great, so we'll stand. Rock, 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 fight today for the glory of our new name. Fight on, master. Come on, let's win this game.
That's a winner, baby.
Production for Panther Sports Talk is brought to you in part by Johnson's Automotive Service is a proud supporter of Panther Sports on WEIU. Johnson's has alignment checks, along with oil changes. Located at 800 Madison in Charleston. Johnson's Automotive Service, keeping your life running.